Back to Metal Rules TV, where the underground meets the playground. And this is our interview with Danny LIlker, part 2. Part 2. Right, last we left off, we talked about hair care products, talked about being tall, you know. But have you, when you, have you ever bumped your head really hard, but, just being tall, before you got your radar into that?
You have to watch on certain stages, on like little clubs. It'll be somewhere in the Netherlands where there's coffee shops, so you can smoke weed all day, and then there'll be a random overhang when it'll be dark on stage, you're about to go on, and you're just running back and forth, getting wired up, and then grabbing your bass, and you can, in the dark, in a hurry, when you're a little high, smash your head on, oh shit, but then you don't do it again.
Yeah.
But
see little Moken David stories.
You just, I just call it the red cloud, because I get really angry for a second, and then it dispels, and everything's okay.
I would just get really sad and cry for a little bit, because I would be worried that I'm like one of those paranoid Jews that, like, every time I do something really minor, I think I need to go to the emergency room and I'm about to die. I'm like, is my head failing? Should I go to sleep? Am I okay? That's me.
No, I actually, I take the negative energy from bumping your head before you're going to go on stage and channel it into aggression for the music.
Really?
Yeah, wow. You just go, God damn it, that hurt, and play.
So you play your best sets ever when you're mad and in pain?
Well, not mad just because of the pain, not just mad randomly. But, that kind of pain is really temporary, and then it's just inertia.
So just had someone with a little 2x4 at every show.
Yeah, just give me a little clock before you go on stage.
Put that on the rider.
Yeah, I must clock him in the head when he's not looking.
Yeah.
Speaking of riders and tours and all that, I have a lot of friends that are in bands like that, and I hear a lot of catering stories. What's been your most disturbing catering story?
The most disturbing catering story is, sometimes you just put on stuff for a joke, and then it'll show up, like 5 slices of Bavarian ham. But that's amongst, like 2 cases of beer, 2 cases of water, 5 slices of Bavarian ham, and a bottle of white wines, and it'll show up. Or they always put socks on the rider, and nobody ever has socks, but once in a while, some random dude in Indiana, will have gone to the Kmart half an hour before the show, got you 2 bags of, like, adult men's socks. Here's socks, dude. They're sitting there next to the deli tray.
Someone's working on that. We almost forgot the socks.
Yeah. And you do appreciate it sometimes, because wearing those for 3 days, you can throw them out. But disturbing, I don't know, maybe just some of the weird Japanese food. Like, I think that fish is still moving, just stuff like that.
You had those on those?
Yeah.
Now, do you like hair metal at all?
I never did, but when the mid-90s rolled around and all that new metal, rap metal stuff got real big, I disliked that so much that, in comparison, I looked back at like old pictures of Motley Crue, and they had long hair, wore leather, they had pentagrams and inverted crosses, and I was like, wow. Maybe I should give these guys a second chance. Yeah. So it's really more of a thing where, in light of something else, I
lesser of two evils.
Yes, learn to appreciate it more. But no, I didn't really like it.
What would be your guilty pleasure in music that people would be surprised that you like?
Just like real nice, quiet classical music, just concertos and stuff like that. Like I just rolled up in my Toyota Corolla there. And I had it tuned to 91.5, the classical station. And
WXXR.
That's it. And there's nothing wrong with classical music. A lot of it's the foundations of metal are built on it, but some of it is just kind of like tra-la-la, not very ominous or foreboding sounding, just kind of like something that you can imagine like ladies sitting in the garden.
Yeah.
But that's good, and it relaxes me when I'm driving, because I get extremely contemptuous when I'm driving, so I either listen to something really intense, like metal, and roll with that, or listen to something, have a couple of hits and, something nice and relaxing, so I don't get mad about the school bus that stops every 5 feet.
Yeah. That's funny, because we went to his son's concert last night. His son's, something I would never go to, because my son, he plays like baseball, he's not playing instruments or anything like that, so I was like, all right, we'll go. I'm like, this is going to be awful. And I actually ended up really liking it.
Yeah, they're actually
they're really good. And they did some classical.
They played something called a Renovo was one guy, and I can't remember, there was a Mendelssohn piece.
Oh,
and
see.
one of the things they did back in March is they picked someone at random from the audience, gave him an envelope, and had him pick out of several pieces of paper in the envelope, and there was music. Then the band had to sight read. They gave him 5 minutes to look it over, and they had to sight read.
Huh?
And they actually played pretty well, but then they kept practicing, and then from March until what was last night, June 7th, they replayed it now that they've had practice, and they actually showed a little video short of the original versus that. So it's kind of a good idea in a way. So,
Yeah, well, I saw some application to writing crazy music. You know, you write some Brutal Truth music, then you come back a couple of months later, and you have a different appreciation for it. So.
Did you play as a little kid in a band?
Well, I played piano starting when I was 5, so that's where
Okay.
I applied musical theory. When I got into rock, I didn't need guitar or bass lessons. Just somebody showed me a chord, and I already knew what an F sharp and a B flat was.
Awesome.
The best part of last night, though, tuba solo. Wow. Good stuff.
He was proud of that thing, too.
He was rocking that tuba, dude. I was loving it.
I figured, how low can you go?
Yeah.
Now, do you think the U.S. is the best country?
No.
What do you think is the best country?
I don't know, but I wouldn't say it's the U.S. I think there's too many cultural issues in this country with some, too much influence of extremist telephones.
Yeah.
There's a lot of extremist telephones in this country.
Yeah, you pick them up and they scream at you.
I think they're following us. They're in the walls.
We don't get a call all day.
It's probably the, whatchamacallit, newspaper delivery offer.
Been to New Zealand?
Yes, I've been to New Zealand.
Love New Zealand.
New Zealand's
God,
great.
such a
No,
beautiful place.
I just think there's too many people in this country who've never been out of their county who are still firmly convinced that the USA is the best, but they don't have anything to compare it to.
Compare it to, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I figured to ask you, because where haven't you been? You've been almost everywhere, haven't you?
I haven't been to anywhere in the continent of Africa, although I've been in Sevilla, Spain, which is right over the Strait of Gibraltar from Morocco. I have not been to enough places I like to go to in Eastern Europe, like, let's say, Hungary, Romania, Ukraine.
Croatia.
Croatia
Croatia?
I've been to. I've been to Croatia in 1994. I was in Pula. And that's not long after all the shit hit the fan down there. There were still soldiers walking around.
Wow.
There's some places in South America I have not been to, but I probably will be going to in November, as I will be doing some more shows playing bass for Lockup that Shane can't do. So I might be going to places like Peru, Colombia, and Ecuador I have not been to. So that should be fun.
Go to the Galapagos on a side trip.
That's way out there.
Huh? Yeah. Take a plane from Quito over to the Galapagos.
Play for a bunch of lizards?
No, just you don't know how long that's going to be good for.
I gotta go on the itinerary.
Now, what about the presidential election? Do you have somebody in mind that you'd like to be president? Either of the two choices?
Or three.
Yeah,
There's
Ron
always
Paul.
RuPaul. Oh, no, Ron Paul.
Yeah.
I think Ron Paul's gonna drop out.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say Obama's the lesser of two evils. I mean, he hasn't really done all he said he's done, but I also think he's been kind of like hogtied or hamstrung or whatever it is by Republicans who just want to see the guy go down. So,
Fox News doesn't help.
just Mitt Romney just seems like just very plastic and everything.
Plastic Man.
We're going back into music and probably like a typical question you've probably been asked before, but what would be your three favorite bass lines of all time?
Well,
Honey, I love you.
the beginning of Ace of Spades. Let's see. The beginning of Hand of Doom. And the beginning of Skull. There you go.
How about bands that you haven't played with that you'd really like to play with?
You mean me personally, or
Yeah,
both?
you personally. Like, I mean, not bands that are not exist anymore, but bands that are currently out there that you'd like to either, join them for a tour or do an album with, or just
Bands
record
or
with.
anyone. Yeah.
When it was my 40th birthday party, more years back than I care to admit, we were thinking about having a show here in Rochester, getting bands to come in and doing it at Water Street and everything, which didn't happen. But I was talking to Nocturnal Culto from Darkthrone, because they've been a two-piece for a while, just guitar and drums, and I wrote him, and I'm like, dude, if you guys came over, I'd play bass. You know, Darkthrone hasn't done a show since like 1991 or something like that, and he was like, I'd love to do that, dude, that sounds like fun, but Fenders will never do it. He doesn't even do Darkthrone shows in Oslo when all he has to do is leave his house and get on a train for 10 minutes. So
he's not coming from Norway to Rochester to do a show?
No.
Even with you?
No, and it was October, so it probably wouldn't have been cold enough.
You never heard of, like, Cousin Al and the Relatives, have you? Surfing on the Barge Canal? Sort of a...
Can't say I have.
No? Okay. The Projectiles? Remember them?
I'm not sure.
Cat Fight? No? Okay. They're mostly, my wife's cousin, they're mostly like
surf rock?
garage bands. So, not quite into the heavy metal arena.
No, but I know the Isotopes. They're surf.
Isotopes. Don't remember them. Anyway.
What are you watching on TV these days?
That's getting rough because we watch crime dramas and stuff, and the season just ended, so we usually DVR stuff like Criminal Minds, Law and Order, CSI, you know, as long as there's a body.
Yeah.
You know, but the bodies are drying up.
Yeah.
So we have to wait for the next season.
All right, what do you like? You know, you've been in Rochester how many years now?
It's going to be 10 years this summer. Yeah.
Okay. Well, how did you end up here, and what do you like about living here? Wegmans rules. We haven't been in South Jersey now.
I know.
How did you get here?
Well, this is where my wife is from.
Oh, okay.
And at the 2000 March Metal Meltdown, where S.O.D played in Pennsauken, New
Yeah.
Jersey.
That's right down the street from me.
That's where I met her.
Really? So
Yeah.
she's from my area.
Well, she came down to... No, she's not. She's from here. But
she just happened to be...
She came down to the Metal Fest.
Okay.
And we met there. And then once we started seeing each other, we lived in New York for a year and a half, and then it was just... She said she missed being up here, and it's just the cost of living and the people and everything, it's just a lot more chill up here. So I said, yeah, I'll move to Rochester. So that was July 2002. So
you do like it, don't you?
Oh, yeah, I think it's great up here. And when I go back down to New York and it's all crowded and hot and all these assholes, I'm like,
fuck you.
How did I grow up here? And people say to you, why did you move to Rochester? You're from New York. I'm like, well.
Yeah.
It's sort of nice. It's in between, like, Toronto and Cleveland and New York.
Yeah, it's not far really from anything. It's kind of a great place to be.
Yep.
Do you have a hard time, because the one debate I have here is finding good pizza. Did you find a good pizza place?
Yeah, but it's called Joe's Brooklyn Pizza.
Yeah!
I told you, Blanche.
I like Cam's. Have you had Cam's?
No, I've heard about Cam's.
Yeah.
There's one across from Mount Hope Cemetery. Right on the corner of Elmwood and, what is that, Mount Hope, where Ben Fonte's, I don't know.
That's where Chipotle is.
The other side of Elmwood Avenue. So there's one, like, right on the corner.
Okay,
and there's one on East Avenue across from, what is that, one bar? I don't know, I've never been there.
I don't know. I don't go to that Alexander East business.
Yeah. Ditto.
Okay, unless you have anything else to add.
No? No.
Okay. I guess the last and the most important question is, are you honored to appear on Metal Rules TV, and why?
Of course I'm honored to appear on Metal Rules TV, because if it wasn't for fuckers like you, I'd have to have a normal job all the time.
He is a fucker. That's what his wife says all the time.
Oh, boy.
No, I say fuck you, not fucker.
You say tomato, I say fuck you.
Yeah. And this is the after you have to plug anything you got going on. I'm sure there's a lot.
Well, like I said, I don't know when this airs. Today's what, June 8th?
I'll probably put the first part up in the next couple days.
Okay, well...
Do it tonight.
I could do it tonight.
Brutal Truth is going to be doing some shows in Europe, leaving next week. We are playing Hellfest in France, Grasspop in Belgium, a couple of smaller festivals, Copenhagen, which I mentioned before, in, obviously, Copenhagen, and the Protzen Open Air in Germany. And besides that, I'm in a band here in Rochester called Nokturnal Hellstorm that plays black metal, and we are playing the Bug Jar August 10th. We have an album out on United Underground Records, which is a subsidiary of Severed Records. And besides that, that's pretty much it for now.
Did you have some kind of book coming out or something?
Oh, I forgot the fucking book. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's because I'm self-conscious.
Dan LIlker book?
Yes, there's going to be a book about me.
I'm friends with Dan LIlker book on Facebook.
See, I actually use that whenever I do go tick around on Facebook. I use that.
That is you, Dan LIlker?
No, it's the author, but he gave me the password because I don't want to have a Dan LIlker Facebook. My wife made me one years ago, and I ignored it. So every once in a while, I'll get an email. You have 50,000 messages on Facebook. I'm going to delete that and pretend I didn't see it.
Let me know if there's anything good on it.
Yeah, Perpetual Conversion. I think it's called Perpetual Conversion, 30 years of... I forgot the exact subtitle for the book, which is embarrassing, but the publishers tell Dave, the author, it should be out in the summer, so that's any time from next week till September. And
so you're right up on this book.
Well, I did a lot of... I did a lot of interviews with him, and he interviewed everybody from my mom to people, the black metal weirdos in Norway and everything, so it's pretty comprehensive. We'll answer any questions anybody ever had about me.
Sounds good. Well, thank you for coming on.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Cool. Yep. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice space.
Nice to meet you.
Nice.
I got to go back to Gates.
Bye-bye.